Double pay when it rains, tools down when it's hot, and nearly 3 months off work every year. They're the perks and conditions most can only dream of. A sweet deal for those in construction. As frontline workers like nurses and teachers are told, you've got it good enough already.
It's a list of largesse that's stunned everyone. From nurses...
I don't think we really have many work perks. We don't get to go home early. We stay back late.
To bigwigs of the building industry.
Well, what's going around, certainly in industry generally, is that, we'll build you a hospital for the cost of 2 hospitals.
Queensland Premier Stephen Miles has rolled to the demands of the all-powerful CFMEU. Take a look at these mind-blowing sweetheart conditions he's dished out to construction workers on big-budget government builds. When it reaches 35 degrees or hits 29 with 75% humidity, you're down tools. Double time if it starts to rain. Use your own mobile phone? That's a $100 a week bonus. Need to climb an 8-metre ladder? You'll get extra for that. $1,000 a week if you live more than 50 kilometres from the work site. 5% annual pay rises through to 2027. If that's not enough, Premier Miles' deal is like the old Demtel ad.
But there's still more.
4 weeks annual leave. More than 5 weeks in rostered days off. 10 public holidays in Brisbane and a picnic day where sites shut down. That's 57 days off a year. The deal has left frontline workers, our teachers, nurses, fireys and police officers in disbelief.
We've been called healthcare heroes for a while, but we haven't really received anything.
Tradies are split, some wishing they lived in the Sunshine State to cash in.
I'll do it. I'll go to Queensland tomorrow if I could.
Others even thought it was a joke.
Not sustainable, it can't. In the end, someone's got to pay the extra money for it, so where's that come from? End up with a heap of businesses closing down. It just sounds like a way to get rid of the small guys and just leave it with the large companies.
While others hope it will help find workers.
I think it'll be great. I think it'll help everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll probably encourage more tradies to get, get in construction.
The Queensland Premier today defended the eye-watering deal, saying frontline workers had little to complain about.
Well, I think if they look at their conditions compared with the conditions of similar workers in every other state and territory, they'll acknowledge that we have some of the best wages and conditions for all of our frontline staff. Our nurses, our teachers, our AMBOs, they have amongst the best conditions in the country.
And he was unrepentant about rewarding builders over others.
These are real people too, and people with families, and people who deserve a decent wage.
Edward Schuller is the Secretary of the Teachers Professional Association of Queensland, and he's not happy about the perks and teachers missing out.
Look, they're an absolute disgrace, but it's not a shock at all. The Labor Party and the unions are one and the same. I mean, the Labor Party is the political wing that was born out of the union movement.
The weather conditions written into the agreement means workers will be paid rain, hail or shine. Weather guru Justin Noonan from the Early Warning Network said the Queensland heat would see tools downed a lot, and scenes like this will be common across Queensland during the summer, with up to a month of workdays lost to the heat every year.
Well, going through the data over the last 12 months, and specifically from September through to April, we had around 15 to 20 days where we reached the criteria of 29 degrees plus, added on to 75% humidity, and that includes a few days that exceeded 35 degrees.
Brian Seidler is Executive Director of the New South Wales Master Builders Association. He's stunned the deal came with no guarantees of increased productivity.
The sad thing about it is that we have no productivity gain whatsoever. Nothing has been measured. In fact, I don't think governments have now asked for any productivity offsets. They've just said, whatever the cost, taxpayer will fund it or foot it. And that's terrible.
Well, you're laughing right now, aren't you, if you work construction in Queensland? But many frontline workers are ropeable about the sweet deal. Cara Thomas is president of the Nurses Professional Association. Cara, you're probably wishing you worked construction right now. How do you feel about their perks?
Well, we've got nurses in Queensland working in crisis conditions. We've seen nationally the health crisis that's going on. We've got patients waiting on waiting lists. We've got emergency wait times blowing out, and we can barely get pay rises that are keeping with inflation and cost of living. It's just, these are nurses that are highly trained professionals that are literally saving lives, running down corridors with bleeding out patients, doing CPR, running emergency departments and ICUs, and people are getting huge perks for driving what is most of us drive to work and then we pay for our own parking.
That's it. I mean, when you look at the list of perks, it's pretty extraordinary, and I just feel it's a real kick in the guts to you guys. As you just said, like, we know how understaffed and overworked our nurses are. What message does it send to your members and to all frontline workers?
They're giving out these ridiculous perks to construction workers while we've got perinatal mortality rates that have been reported as doubling in the last 4 years. They're closing down rural maternity facilities. We've got 75,000 nurses that have left the profession since the beginning of COVID. That's 1 in 5, and partly because they're not paid enough.
Did you feel like this is basically saying that they don't care about you, that you're being ignored?
Well, where's the investment? I mean, where is the restructure? We literally have people dying. We have nurses leaving in droves, and the investment's going into people getting perks that are almost what we earn in an entire week because they have to drive 50 k's to work.
Well, let's just look at that, right? Because, and look, can I just say too, I mean, good luck if you're a construction worker. Nothing on you, but it hardly seems fair. There's an extra $1,000 a week if you live more than 50 k's from the job. I think about how often nurses end up, say, working double shifts and then having to drive home tired. If anyone deserves a kickback for travel, it's you.
Yeah, well, so many of our members are talking about how they're doing overtime, how they're working double shifts because of the staffing shortages, because of the skill mix problems. And if you've worked a double shift and then you've got to drive home, it's really hard going.
One of the things that got my attention, that they won't work when it's 29 degrees and humid. I keep thinking, imagine if the air conditioning unit was to break down in an emergency ward and you all walked off the job.
Well, you can't, because people's lives literally depend on you. We just literally worked through a pandemic where for a period of time masks were behind lock and key because there wasn't enough PPE.
You're fired up about this, aren't you?
I'm really upset because our staff, they work so very hard, literally saving lives, and we want to do the very best we can for our patients. And our members are burning out and they love their job, and we want to provide the very best care we possibly can to our patients. And they're spending money on above 29 degrees and 50k travel, while we've got people, our patients, literally dying, waiting because we're on bed block and bypass. This is insane. Babies are dying and the government's giving money for a standard travel for most people.
Well, then how do you feel about the Queensland Premier's response today? So Stephen Miles said, and I quote, "Our nurses, our teachers, our ambos have some of the best conditions in the country." What do you make of that, and what's your message to him?
Well, maybe he should come and work a day where he's running down a corridor while somebody's bleeding out, or trying to do CPR in an ambulance because you can't get anyone into emergency, or work a double shift and not have a mask during a pandemic, and be on a wage where you're struggling to keep up with cost of living and inflation. I mean, it's okay to say that, but the reality is that there needs to be serious investment and serious restructure, because it's been reported they're increasing administrators more than they are increasing frontline staff. There needs to be a restructure and a reinvestment.
Well, look, I really hope the Premier's listening. We love and we appreciate our nurses, Cara, and we appreciate your time too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.